I'm gonna call this one, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Let's get into it. Now, this might make some people mad, but it is what it is. Y'all, once you learn what someone is capable of, you have to handle them a little different. DMX said this and it resonated with me. He said it's too hard not to trust people. Instead, he trusts people to be who they are. He trusts a snake to be a snake. He trusts a liar to lie. He trusts someone who cheats to cheat. I can forgive you for what you've done. And I thank you for showing me what you're capable of, because now I know how to handle you. And it will be irresponsible of me to give you the same kind of access, knowing what I know now. I'm going to call this one.
Interesting. Let's play this clip here.
Just in the argument, just in that dynamic.
So she's threatening.
Yeah, she's threatening in the dating. You gonna know.
Facts.
So you don't have to, like, I think some people are really afraid of that. And I think that it's going to be apparent way before then. You've got to pay attention.
I don't know about, but see, it wasn't apparent. I mean, here's the thing though. It wasn't necessarily, well, is it because it wasn't necessarily apparent that you were somebody who will walk away from relationships? Is it because that you guys moved together so fast that he probably didn't get a chance to see that?
No, he did see that. He definitely saw it. Yeah. No,
so you threatened to move, you threatened to end a relationship in dating?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. I did.
Wow.
And that was something that, that I'm not saying that's something that I had to work on and I needed to really address. But that was something that was present in that dating relationship.
Honestly, man, I think that's such a good game because I don't know if all guys are. A lot of guys might just rule that off or, oh man, she's just emotional. She's just a lady. And they may not know that that could be a long-term problem or issue that needs to be worked through.
She has to work through it. It's possible to work through it. I mean, I like now that I'm, at a different place in my life, you can work through it. You can absolutely work through it, but you first have to acknowledge it as a problem. I don't think people out. I'm about to leave. Just in the argument, just in that dynamic.
So she's threatening.
Yeah, she's threatening in the dating. You gonna know.
Facts.
So.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Bird 91. Another quick one. Listen, we've been talking to you guys for the past week about dismissive, avoidant attachment style, and I went back over listening to this after Samantha Lee came out with another video talking about how you know them already, who they are, and I don't know if it played in that particular clip. But in that hardly initiated interview that she has, what you can see on the screen, she actually told us that Tyrese knew she was a runner and a track star. She gonna run away when it gets hard. Sorry for the singing. I'm not, but here we go. She told us that Tyrese knew who she was. He knew that she was a runner and a track star, and he's almost pretending as if he doesn't know what he married, right? And the problem with a dismissive, avoidant kind of person is they only take a few cuts and they're out. A few cuts and they're out the door, right? A few particular flaws that you have that keep coming up and becoming a problem and it's not being addressed quickly enough, we out the door, okay? We need healing, but we out the door. And I think that's one of the major things that I saw with Samantha Lee and her situation with Tyrese. Now, of course, this latest video she dropped saying about how handle people, as you know who they are already. I think it goes both ways. I think it goes one way in terms of Tyrese knew who she was. And I think it's also in the case of how she saw his interview and probably thought to herself, I need to handle him the way that I know him to be, right? Now, of course, she came out in the last interview talking about how she was sorry for what happened, and or at least she was taking accountability. Sorry, apologies. She's taking accountability for what had previously happened in their marriage, and she knew that people got into her ear. But this particular video is very powerful because I think in reality is why I say as men, we have to take accountability, because what will happen is they will always turn it around onto you. Notice how she said, you knew what you married? She's still saying that even today. So no matter how much Tyrese complains and moans and says about how, he never saw it coming and, he never thought that she would be this way, right? She's saying, hey, look, you knew what you married. You knew what I was. Don't try to pretend now, right? And Tyrese tries to play this on a very innocent act. And either he lacks accountability, a level of awareness, or doesn't want to really acknowledge the fact that he made mistakes, which is pretty much point number one. I just said it, right? And I think what we're seeing here is that when we're dealing with somebody who's dismissive or avoidant, she actually talks about her being a runner and a track star. And I want to get a clip for you as well, guys, right? She talks about the fact that she is a runner. So he's always known she runs track. This ain't new, right? This is not something that he didn't know. This is not something that he wasn't aware of. This isn't something that he suddenly came to his attention. It happened in the dating phase of them, but he ignored it. Why? Because he wanted her. And I'm still trying to figure out Tyrese's attachment style. It sounds a little bit more anxious, or it could be even disorganized attachment style, which we'll address in another video, because I think they're still doing a dance. I can't lie to you. I still think Tyrese and Samantha are doing the dance. The dismissive person and the anxious, or we can even say disorganized kind of person, we're not sure 100% yet on Tyrese, but let's say it's dismissive and anxious, right? They continually do this dance, a cycle, where the dismissive wants to be cared for, but keeps distance from the person, right? So, and one thing as well about we have to talk about is male and female dynamics as well, and then talk about toxicity within that, right? So the dismissive person wants to keep somebody far away. They keep them far away, right? They're easily hurt. Let's be honest. I'm not gonna lie to you. We can get easily offended, right? And that then creates the distance. That gives us the reason to push you away a little bit, right? Create distance. And then the anxious person gets wants to be loved too. And then what happens is once they sense a person pulling away, they try to pull the person closer, right? The disorganized attachment is similar to the anxious person, but they are also fearful. They have an intense fear of rejection, but they also as well have both avoidant and anxious attachment styles, right? And in amongst that, they have contradictory behavior sometimes. They have an inability to regulate their emotion. This is disorganized, by the way. A fear of rejection, inability to regulate emotions, contradictory behavior, high levels of anxiety, difficulty trusting others, signs of both avoidant and anxious. I'm not going to lie to you, it sounds like Tyrese. They're disorganized. It sounds like Tyrese in that space, right? Because we've seen a range of behaviors from Tyrese to a point where he's blamed drugs for making his mood go up and down. And, oftentimes this disorganized or fearful avoidant, disorganized is fearful avoidant attachment. They can have mood disorders, personality disorders. They can be self-harming, substance abuse. They tend to be more prone to those things, right? But the fear of rejection and inability to regulate emotions is quite a heavy one as well. And I think, especially when Tyrese is afraid of being alone, I can see why he consistently chooses to chase after Samantha. Because up until now, we're still talking about Samantha, My brother said, I'm not going to talk about it no more. Went on Joe Budden and still talking about it. Now, of course, that was filmed 2 months ago, so let's give him a bit of grace on that respect. But my biggest thing here is he knew what he married. And the dismissive avoidant person, she too knew she's a runner and a track star. And she's also somebody who's in the psychology field, right? The reality is, as she said in the interview, she has to work on it, and she has to want to work on it, and she has to know that it's a problem. And at the time, she wasn't very much fully aware of that. Of course, she had done a little bit of work, but she still wasn't fully aware of that. And so what I'm seeing now with the latest post of her saying about you knew what you married, that's what happens when people throw it back in your face, when they say, hey, don't blame me alone. You knew who I was when I was in that space. And you chose to try and love me knowing that this is how I am. And actually, I'm not going to lie to you. That's a very toxic trait from dismissive, avoidant people, because we tell people, listen, hey, I can't lie to you. We are spice, sugar, and buns right now. But we go and keep great distance between me and you. Okay? We're going to keep you at bay. I'm just going to be honest with you. I will probably end up leaving. Right? We don't want to stay for a long time. We're here for a good time. We'll tell you that. And then when you spend time with us, you're enjoying our presence so much. And when you get to a point where you start feeling us, we're like, yeah, I gotta be out. And so that's one aspect. The other aspect is when we get cut, when we get hurt, basically, we easily want to exit the relationship too, because it's too painful trying to repair the relationship. It's much easier to snap and exit the relationship, then I can start again elsewhere, because my tolerance for pain isn't much. Remember, I'm already kind of detached from my emotions already. So you now adding pain to that, I don't want to feel pain. So I'm going to detach again once more. And that usually takes us out of the relationship. Hence why Tyrese might say she was acting so cold in the relationship, because in reality, she was cold. Because after you hurt me a couple of times, I'm out like a light. Right? So if you're a dismissive avoidant person, pay attention to this. You a runner, you a track star. It gonna run away when it gets hard. Listen, make sure you guys are liking, share, subscribing. We appreciate you guys. You guys are killing the game with us as well. We're trying to get to 100K. We appreciate y'all. And you can join our membership as well. It's £1 a dollar. With much love and much appreciation. We out.